We're leading up to the abortion memorial, the National Remembrance Day, coming up on Saturday. We'll give you that website as well. Janet Morana, my co-host on the Catholic View for Women on EWTN, also the executive director of Priest or Life, the co-founder of Silent No More. You also see her on EWTN on Defending Life. Wow, what a busy, busy week. And I was just chatting with Father Frank this morning in the first hour of the program, JM, about the pictures that I saw of you sitting behind Jill as she was testifying. Jill was on with us Tuesday morning, Jill Stanek from the Susan B. Anthony List before the hearing began. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. So what's the latest? How did things go, do you think, this week so far?
Well, first of all, Teresa, I got to go to about 5 offices of freshman Democrats, to basically challenge them. Why won't you just sign the discharge petition? Now, I don't know how much you've explained to the listeners what's going on with this Born Alive bill. First of all, people keep asking me, why? I thought we did this back under Bush. And yeah, well, the first bill, basically all it did was, which was a good thing, it defined the unborn child of needing protection, basically. But what this bill does, because right now, if a baby is born alive during an abortion, these abortionists let those babies die, all right? They don't treat them. And so what this bill is saying, if a baby is born alive during an abortion procedure, you must treat that patient. They must be rushed right to the nearest NICU for care, and so this was huge. And so we had close to 50 people, part of our team, visiting freshman Democrats and basically posing the question. We want you to sign. We're representing thousands and thousands of constituents because, as you know, Teresa, we have these people on our list here at Priest for Life in all these states. And your people are telling you, sign the discharge petition. And I was at the new Staten Island representative where I used to live. He's a freshman Democrat. And so, of course, I didn't get to meet him. I met with his staffer. And the staffer goes, well, I'm from Staten Island, too. I says, well, good. I said, now you can tell your member that unless he signs that discharge petition, we're going to do everything possible to make sure he doesn't get reelected in 2020. I said, because guess what? I know he's going to vote the bill down. But why won't he go on the record? Why won't he let that bill come to the floor for discussion and vote? And I said, this is not about abortion. This is infanticide. If a puppy was born like that and having difficulty, you'd be rushing to the aid of that little puppy to help it thrive and live. And you're going to take a baby and just throw it in a soiled bucket? Or, there was someone who testified at the hearing, Teresa. It was so horrible. Tears. Because they talked about one baby born alive in an abortion mill. And you know what they did, Teresa? They took that baby, gasping, and shoved it into a biohazard bag and sealed it. Is this crazy? Is this insanity?
Well, this is what I was talking about with Father Frank this morning, and he really explained it beautifully. And I want you to pick up on this because I know you know it just as well as he does. It just seems to be common sense. A baby survives something like this, and why would anybody be against helping this child?
That's right.
Because the choice trumps everything. So therefore, once a woman decides, as how Father explained it, that she's going to have an abortion, and even if those abortion methods fail, you can't acknowledge the child ever. You have to give preference because the woman didn't want the baby to begin with.
But something.
So they don't even look at that child as anything but still a blob of cells, even though it's a human being.
But here's the fact. The fact is that woman can still get off that abortionist's table and walk out of the clinic and have no claim to that child. Because we do have laws in this country, as you know, in every state where you can bring that child, you can bring a baby, a newborn, or even a few months old or whatever, to either a safe place. Safe haven laws is what they're called. You can bring it to the emergency room, you can bring it to the fire stations, and it's called safe haven. No questions asked, you just abandon the child. So this is not a question where her freedom of choice has been denied. But, okay, the abortionist messed up, the baby's born alive. You have to give that baby care, is what this bill is about. It's not infringing on her right. She chose to have nothing to do with this child, so good. Get up off the table and go home and get dressed. Thank you very much. We'll rush that baby to NICU, and if the baby survives, there are the people, as you know, Teresa, there are couples all over our country looking to adopt children. There are not enough, babies for them, and that's why some of them are going overseas now, because we're killing our babies. So this is not infringing on her freedom freedom of choice. It has nothing to do with abortion. What it does is it's stopping infanticide that's still happening in this country. And, as you know, Melissa Oden's website, she has over 280 survivors of abortion who are now adults who are speaking out. I mean, this is a real issue that people have to pay attention to. And what I think, we were lobbying in the halls of Congress on Tuesday, but this is something now your listeners can do, all of you. If you have a Democratic congressperson in your district, I want you to call their office, not in Washington, in the district office, because then they really know it's one of our constituents. And I want you to tell them you want them to sign the discharge petition just so that this bill can come out of committee and come to the floor for a vote and discussion. If they are so in love with infanticide and they don't want to see these babies protected, then let them go on the record for it, Teresa. That's right?
They won't do it, though, because then they have to admit exactly what the governor of Virginia did, and they know the pushback. My prayer is that the fact that they can't talk about this and they won't go public with it, that they want to keep it hush-hush, the media are in on it, and they're not reporting it. I mean, this whole thing with the whole pro-abortion agenda. I'm praying that works on their heart, because if they can't publicly come out and say, hey, I'm sorry, but we just think that choice is choice, and this is the most important thing, and if the baby lives, that's the baby's problem, not ours. We're not going to be paying to keep this baby alive. If this is so important and this is so crucial, then be honest about it.
That's right. Right? And Teresa, in February of 2019, there was a poll taken by McLaughlin and Associates that shows 77% of the public are supporting legislation to protect children born alive after a failed abortion. Okay, 77% of Americans say, yeah, once the baby's born, yes. Baby's alive, help the baby. I mean, so we know that the numbers are on our side, and yet they're ignoring it. And to show you the extent they're ignoring it, first of all, the hearing that was held on Tuesday, it was not an official House hearing. Okay, which would have been in a big, huge room, all right, with tons of people in there and all that. Nancy Pelosi would not grant the Republicans a room for this hearing. So they had to go to the Capitol Visitor Center in the sub-basement to a very small room that was packed. There were over 35 members of Congress there testifying. And then, of course, there was Jill Stanek and some others there testifying. And the room was standing room only, packed. People are listening because they couldn't get into the room. I mean, what's the matter, Nancy? You couldn't even give them a decent meeting room? This, like you're just saying, they don't want it discussed. They want this to go away. And that's why we, our EWTN family here, listeners, we will not let this go away, brothers and sisters. You have got to make those phone calls. And if you live near the district office, then show up in person and tell them, stop petition, and let's have a public discussion about this bill. Let's make it public, because that's what they don't want to have happen.
Yeah, they treat us like we're second-class citizens, so go to the basement, go hide and huddle in this room, because you don't deserve an area discussion.
I'll tell you, I was very privileged to go, of course, with some of the ladies from Silent No More on my visits on Tuesday. I had Nancy Tannen Givens with me, Andrea Pearson, and Missy Smith. And EWTN, actually, Nightly News, Jason covered it. And I know there was a clip, if no one saw it. I think it's up on the EWTN news site of us going in and out of the offices, and then they interviewed us. But I'll tell you, the staffers, as soon as we walked in, we had T-shirts, Teresa, that said to stop infanticide and vote for this bill, right? So as soon as we walked in, they knew, here they are about this issue. Their eyes were downcast. It's like, and finally I said, could you please look at me when we talk? Like, can we have some eye contact here? It's like, It's almost like they're embarrassed and ashamed. Well, then let's discuss it openly, but they don't want to, so, and by the way, in walking through the halls of Congress, I also saw that lovely congresswoman from Minnesota. Her office was right by Max Rose's office, who was on my list to visit. He's actually a Staten Island freshman Democrat. And I don't know if anyone's seen them, but they have these little sticky notes now that she has people leave her all over the wall outside her office. It looks like a kindergarten classroom, and of course OAC does the same thing. I mean, this shows you like this immaturity or this nonsense that's going on in the halls of Congress. It's very sad, Teresa, I'm telling you.
So do you think that the word is getting out there? I mean, with Mayor Buttigieg from Indiana, with him saying that a baby isn't, a person until, you take your first breath.
Take your first breath, right.
Right. And that nonsense, and his brother-in-law, who's a pastor, pushing back and saying he's perverting Scripture. These extreme, out of touch with reality, and where most Americans are, even Americans who claim to be pro-choice, are not pushing for abortion through 9 months of pregnancy or infanticide. The majority of the surveys show that. Do you think the word is starting to get out, even though they're still trying to suppress a lot of this?
Well, I think
from a legislative perspective.
Yeah, I think the word's getting out to a certain extent, but obviously, if it wasn't for people like you, Teresa, and your radio program, EWTN, and the TV programs, enough people would not know because, other than Fox News, okay, which I was watching last night to see their coverage, but other than Fox, you don't see this, on CNN or NBC or ABC. They suppress all this stuff. I just got back from being in California at my daughter's for 2 weeks, worked out there. Then I went to Hawaii on vacation with the family for a week. So I was on, as I call it, the left coast for 3 weeks. And you'll be shocked to see that there's just a mental attitude out there that is so left, far, far, far left. It's scary. And, that in 2020 this is going to be the most, I know we said in 2016 this was going to be the most important. This one is going to be even more important because our country, the very thing by which we were founded, is at stake because they want to just strip it all away from us. If you can't grasp that when a baby takes a breath, that's a live human being and needs care and help, then there's really something wrong with you. And, it reminds me, it's so funny how people get so upset about animals, which, I'm all in favor of protecting and helping animals. But when you think about it, if this happened to a dog, right, a dog delivers like 6 or 8 puppies, and 2 of the puppies are floundering and not breathing, I'm sure they're doing everything possible.
Well, there was a big story a couple of months ago, remember, about the puppies that were thrown in the trash bin?
Right.
Big story.
Big story.
And a
big
lot of
story.
coverage on it.
And then we have all the sea creatures, we have laws protecting the sea turtles and their eggs, and you can't damage the sea turtle's egg, or there's $25,000 fine or imprisonment and all this jazz. There's a dolphin. I took my grandchildren to St. Petersburg to see this dolphin that was rescued that had its little tail cut off from a boat accident of some sort, and they rescued this dolphin. They actually got a fake, a fake tail for this dolphin, and now the dolphin lives in this aquarium, which is a beautiful story. They did a whole movie on it and all this jazz. It's so wonderful.
And it's all great.
It's all great stuff. But we do for animals and protect the animals. And you've seen those commercials on TV where they show these abused dogs and cats and they're, plea, but this has got to stop. And yet we can't get these Democratic Congress people to bring this bill to the floor for a vote and discussion, that when a baby takes a breath, it gets care? This is insanity. And so I'm asking, Teresa, your listeners, there's a lot of them out there right now, okay? You can go to our website. We have it there at Priest Life, bornalive.us. First of all, we have the entire hearing. If you'd like to watch that entire hearing, it's at bornalive.us. We've gotten it recorded, downloaded, and you can see it. First of all, the Congresswoman Ann Wagner, who is her bill that she introduced, at the end of the hearing, she was moved to tears in her remarks.
Mm-hmm. I saw that
so emotional, so emotional.
Yeah.
And of the congressmen, I was so impressed by their testimonies. There were at least 6 of them were medical doctors, and one of them had actually done heart surgery on an unborn child. It was. You need to watch this coverage. Bornalive.us. Please go there. Watch the whole hearing. It lasted for about an hour and a half. It's worth every second to hear these stories, to hear what happened. The testimonies of the doctor was former Planned Parenthood doctor, and what she had to say. You've got to watch it, but then you got to act. And demand to sign that discharge petition.
What's the link again?
Bornalive.us. Bornalive.us.
Bornalive.us. All right, we'll be right back on a Thursday morning. Stay tuned.